Welcome from Gray Berlin, Germany. My name is Daniel Stecher. I'm the technical facilitator of Ladies Beyond Flying. And today is our 51st Aviation Women panel. We started our journey 8 July 2020. And I've never been dreaming of having so many Aviation Women panel. And it's an honor for me to have a sister from another Ladies Beyond Flying guest speaker from the summer. This time is Christina Siegler from Siegler Consulting. And she is going to talk about balancing energies, elevating leadership, unleashing the power of feminine and masculine synergies in business. And I'm looking very much forward to this session. And Christina, stage is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, Daniel, it's a pleasure being here. It's really a pleasure. I mean, we know each other for, I don't know, for how long. I thought about that earlier and I have no idea, 5 years, 6 years, maybe longer.
Maybe.
So thank you very much for that opportunity. And I would say, let's start. I will share my screen. Yes.
Which I can see. Everything is fine.
Perfect. So we are talking about one of my favorite topics today, balancing energies. It's about masculine and feminine energy. And I will tell you shortly why it's my favorite topic. But first of all, let me give you a quick introduction about what we are talking about today. So I'll give you a quick introduction about myself so that you know who you are dealing with today. And then we go straight into the feminine, masculine energies, recognizing your dominant energy, of course, the balance in leadership, practical tips, and in the end, our close wrap up and closing. So let's get started.
But questions are allowed at any time or only at the wrap up and closing set?
Okay. No, at any time. So feel free to ask any question you have.
And single child questions, which usually starts with a why, are also allowed?
Everything is allowed.
Okay, good.
Perfect. So about myself, I grew up, let's say, in quite traditional German household. So security, especially financial security, was really important to my parents. And although I wanted to study psychology, my parents convinced me to study, surprise, surprise, business administration. So I did my bachelor in business administration, then jumped right into my master degrees in marketing and sales. And I started after my studies in a mid-sized company. And to be honest, I was really lucky that time because I was, let's say, trusted, not only with a position as a marketing manager, but also as the team lead. And right after the studies, I was lucky. So we built up the marketing department from scratch. So corporate identity, website, everything. It was a really, really special time for me. But still, after round about 2 years, I would say, I recognized something was missing. And I thought I want to contribute more to the world. So I decided to do another training, 1 year training to become a business coach, another year of training to become a life coach, self-love trainer, NLP practitioner, and so on, a few more things. And that's basically how I ended up being a self-employed entrepreneur, I would say. And why feminine and masculine energies? That's a really good question. I already told you that it's one of my favorite topics. And not only during my corporate career path, also during my studies, I realized some things. I was confronted with this topic in different ways, I would say. So first of all, there was especially during my studies, my master degrees, it was 95% of women. There was like a dog eat dog mentality. There was lots of jealousy amongst women instead of supporting each other.
95% women were in these studies. Why that? Why only so few men?
That's crazy. I have no idea. So at that university, we had the Master of Marketing and Sales. And on the other hand, we had controlling and finance. So controlling and finance was like 95% men, and marketing and sales was 95% women. That was crazy, yeah.
Which is exactly, of course, in the two shelves of creativity and passion and let's say facts and figures, and which are exactly the female and masculine stereotypes, which I would attribute to both shelves.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there were a few other things. So I realized in my career path, not only in the corporate world, also in the world I'm in right now, women being entrepreneurs, being self-employed, often women trying to be better men instead of embracing their feminine qualities. That was another thing. Then another time, back in my corporate life, I realized in companies, in teams, often women are expected to be strong, tough, disciplined, assertive, all good qualities. But still, I asked myself, where are the feminine character traits like empathy, creativity, being understanding, things like that?
But this
So
is already the first question. Who is expecting this, what you were mentioning? So that is, I think, the root cause of everything.
yeah, of course. And I cannot really answer this question because it's super tough. It's, I would say, it's a society thing. We learn to be like that, especially in Germany. And nobody really is questioning what is going on in companies and teams. It is how it is, you know. And that's why I think it's super important during these times to ask some questions about that, or to question things that has always been like that. Yeah. Yeah, and then a really personal thing I realized was during my career path, especially in corporate, was that there was not only a disbalance in the feminine energy, but also in the masculine. Means that especially men, when they're, I always say, wounded masculine energy, means there were a few times men, especially older men, tried to hook up with me during trade shows and things like that. And also there was this one company, I don't want to mention the name, but there was one event. It took place once a year, and there was person A and person B. They both booked their own hotel room, but everyone knew they would spend the night together, although both were married. Every single year. So
I can imagine location and which company this could be, but I will not mention any names here.
yeah. And I asked myself, why the hell? You know, and I couldn't understand. And as I mentioned, there were so many different situations I was confronted with this topic, the balance of energies. But back then, I didn't knew what it was about. So, and I figured that often relationship problems occur, especially for women that are really successful, ambitious, often ending up in a breakup or in a divorce when the woman gets more successful financially. And that's basically that's only a few situations I just talked about, and that's why it's one of my favorite topics, because it influences everything, not only business life, but also our private life.
And do you have, by the way, I think this is a very interesting topic. Do you have statistical data? Who is the final decision maker on this breakup? Is it the woman earning more money, or is it the guy earning less? Do you have statistical data about that?
No, I don't have statistical data, unfortunately not. I just can tell you out of my own experience with my clients, that it's often the women who break up. But the thing is that there is a history to it. Women get more successful, get more independent during the relationship, and they get into their masculine energy. We go into that topic a little bit later, but how to say that, they have to be in their masculine energy to be successful in business, but they cannot, or they don't get the point to switch to the feminine energy when they get back into their private life. That's the point. And when women are in their masculine energy in private, then the boyfriend or the husband only has two opportunities: either stay also in the masculine energy, then they are going to fight, or they go to their feminine energy. But
yeah. I think I learned in my life, it's never the man who selects, it's always the woman who selects the man. Yeah, and that's why I would have a different explanation why then the breakup occurs. And I think it's the evolutionary ladder to improve your status, and there's the saying, it's always the nurse selecting the doctor.
Yeah.
But it's never the female doctor selecting the male nurse. She is rather selecting the hospital director, something like this. Yeah, and that's why, and I would like to have scientific proof or statistical proof for this. I think there are some statistics already approving this theory.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's evolutionary, because from an evolutionary perspective, men are providers. So, and that's the point. That's what you're referring to. And yeah, I think that's the issue. But then it's when you're a really ambitious woman, then it's super hard to find the right partner. When it's always like this, that women date or select men that are have a better status regarding business. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very thrilling topic. Yeah. So the question is, if you're in a relationship and the woman is now telling you as a man, I'm very ambitious and I want to pursue my career and blah, and is this already the beginning of the end for this guy? He knows already if she succeeds there and she is on that level, that he might be not her preferred choice anymore. So is this then already preparation time for the guy to plan something else?
That's the question. But the thing is, in my opinion, but that's my personal opinion, is when you get conscious about the different energies, about masculine and feminine energy, then you are able to switch for both sides. So as a woman, you can use your masculine energy, your masculine character traits, to be ambitious, to be successful in business, but then switch to your feminine energy in private. And I think then it's working. But to make this work, there needs to be you need to be conscious about that.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but so I love this topic.
Me too.
Okay.
So let's continue and go. Let's go. Yeah, the expectations. I think we skipped that. And go straight into feminine and masculine energies. So the balance. We already talked about it. So every one of us has both energies in them. It's regardless of the gender. And in general, one is more dominant than the other. Masculine energy is more associated with men, feminine energy is more associated with women, but it doesn't mean that we don't have both inside of us. And I brought an overview about masculine and feminine character traits. So a person who is more in their masculine energy is focused. This person knows the direction. This person is structured, effective, action oriented. That's all that we associate with leadership skills. Disciplined, decisive, logical, rational. This person is really good in decision making. Often men are good in decision making, but you already realize here women in leadership positions have those character traits as well.
But you are now mentioning all the positive aspects of masculine energy. On the other hand, is it then the toxic masculinity, which is the negative one? Because everything, I know a lot of effective women. My wife, for example, is so effective and efficient in cooking and other stuff and so on. Also in decision making, and is also initiator in certain, and but she is very feminine. So that's why, is it not more dominant instead of masculine? Wouldn't this not be the better term?
I mean, dominant is one character trait of the masculine energy. So, and we will come to what you mentioned, toxic part, or wounded, for masculine and feminine as well later on, because that's super interesting. When I got into that topic the first time, I was wondering, I was looking at people and wondered, is this person in his masculine energy, feminine energy? But I couldn't really say until I realized both energies can also be toxic. For example, when it's manipulative. Yeah, but we'll come to that later. Then we have the feminine energy. So persons with feminine energy are more creative, empathetic, sensitive, emotional, and emotional in a good way. Women are often told to be not that emotional, but that's to express emotions and feelings. That's actually a good thing if you know how. They are guided by their intuition, really important thing. It's the counterpart of being rational, making the decision with your head instead of guiding by intuition. They are nurturing, caring, receptive. Receptiveness is also a really interesting point, because I don't know how it is for you as a man, but oftentimes women are not able to receive, for example, a compliment. It's this, I can react in terms of when someone says, hey, that's a beautiful dress, my answer can be, oh, thank you, that's so kind. Full stop. Nothing to add. But most women are like, do you really think? I don't know. It's not my color. You know, that's
imposter syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. That's really a thing. Then feminine energy is also about being gentle, being soft, going with the flow, all that creativity, being in a flow state. That's, I always say, when someone asks me what's the difference between masculine and feminine energy, masculine energy is like a it's like a river finding its way no matter what, and the feminine is more like the ocean surrounding everything, being calm. Yeah. And also a feminine trait is being a good listener and being understanding. So that's actually really interesting, because for example, sales is I don't have statistics, but most salespeople are men, and often in their toxic masculinity. Super, how to say that? What is the word when you put pressure? Often salespeople put pressure on people, and I would say persons with mainly their feminine energy would be better salespeople, because they are more empathetic, they are good in listening, and understands the person they are talking to.
But I doubt that, let's say, more men are in sales. I believe it depends from the industry, because if you go in the cosmetics industry, I would say there are more women. It also depends from what is, let's say, the sales approach. And I think in our field, technology, it's where usually you have more in the Western world. Yeah. Interestingly, I work for an Indian company, and 50% of all employees coming to the company are are women, yeah, and they also have the highest percentage of female pilots in their country. So you can have and so that's, I think, but in these typical cold calling industries, there I agree. You have these because sometimes women would hesitate to make the call, where men just and so on with the bulldozer method. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah.
But the question would be also, is the ratio of male and female salespeople decided by the sales director? Is a female sales director putting more women into the sales team, or the other way around? Again, I don't have statistics for, but that would be interesting.
Yeah.
So do you want to have more women in sales? Who should be the manager in order to succeed in this turnover?
Yeah, that's super interesting. And I think it also depends on how the sales process is organized. For example, when you have many companies have that they have the setter closer principle. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So I think, for example, for settings, men are better to make cold calls and set the person, and I think women are better suited for the closing call. Yeah, interesting, super interesting. Let's continue. Feminine, masculine energy, or dominant energy? Daniel, what do you think? Do you think you're more in the feminine or more in the masculine energy?
I think I have both. So I'm sometimes like a bulldozer. And on the other hand, I believe I'm also very empathetic. And so I have a feminine trace in me. And yeah, I would say I cannot say 50-50. It always depends from the situation and with whom I'm dealing. So the question is, am I more empathetic when I'm talking now to a woman?
Yeah.
Because maybe it's switching on a more softer approach. And am I more a bulldozer when I'm talking to a male colleague? So I don't know. From now on, I will exactly have this selective perception and will question this. But I think because we always mirror the other person. So if I have a bulldozing colleague, I will not try to be the soft guy, because and of course it depends also what's your personality type. So in this 3-color scheme, I'm red, green, almost no blue, and in a 4-color scheme, I'm very yellow, red, green, and almost no blue. So that's why I will be always more
outgoing. Yeah, I'm also red, green and red. No blue, a little bit of yellow, but mostly green, of course. I have to be as a coach, and red, yeah, I have to be as a entrepreneur. Yeah.
And knowing some other members from your family, I would say your sister is more red, because I learned from her what is a signature lip.
Yeah, definitely. She's more red. She's red and yellow. Yeah.
And your parents? Which colors have your parents?
That's a good question. I would say my dad is mainly yellow, because they are both retired. He was in sales, B2B, and he was like the super outgoing, having dinner with clients, knowing about their daughters, and yeah. And my mom, probably like me, a mix between green, and red. Yeah.
So then the next question would be, of course, are you a father's daughter or a mother's daughter? Yeah.
Yeah, that's my sister and me talked about that a lot, and she would say she's a father's daughter and I'm a mother's daughter. Not sure. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but I would agree because there are these three daughters according
Yeah.
Modler.
Yeah.
So the pleasure daughter, performance daughter, and protester daughter. And from the color scheme, you can also decode what kind of daughter type you have. And usually you have two type of daughters.
Yeah. Interesting. Super interesting.
Yeah.
Super interesting. All right, then let's go to what we talked about earlier, the imbalance. Imbalanced, toxic, wounded, call it whatever you want. I brought just a few. An imbalance of masculine energy is, for example, overthinking. That's something I think not only men, but also many women know. Being over dominant, intimidating, we talked about that earlier. Controlling, needs to wear the pants and always wanting to be right. Of course, abuse of power, aggressive behavior. Also the thing, being a workaholic, working all the time, running into a burnout, that's an imbalanced masculine energy. And also excessive competition. So, sorry. Competition itself is it's a good thing, but if you're over competitive, it's an imbalanced masculine energy.
And reading here, wearing the pants, it's quite interesting that especially in Germany, you are not seeing many women anymore wearing skirts. There, everybody is wearing pants somehow. At least let's say when I grew up, 80s, 90s, and so on. Pants, pants, pants. Nobody had skirts anymore. And you go to, let's say, Eastern Europe or other countries, and suddenly you see, oh, it's different. Yeah? Or you go even other um, countries outside Europe. So I don't know whether this wearing the pants to be somehow in the driver's seat was also the driver for women not to dress up very feminine anymore.
That's so interesting because, sorry, my voice, I don't know what's happening. It was the same with me. During the last years, I was wearing mainly pants, yeah, especially in the industry I was working. You know, the industry, it was mainly IT. And I was never really wearing skirts or dresses. That's something that changed for me during the last 2 years, I would say. And that's the thing I talked about earlier. Women, especially in Germany, learning to be a better man. Yeah. But the interesting thing is, it's not the same in all Western countries, I would say. For example, in the US, it's different. There you see many women wearing skirts, dresses, high heels at work. Yeah.
Also in Great Britain, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Super interesting. That needs to be changed. All right, then we have the imbalance of feminine energy. Also, just a few, we talked about that earlier. It's jealousy. Jealousy is a thing between women. I don't know why, but it is. Talking behind someone's back, being manipulative, low self-esteem, high self-doubts. That's a thing. People pleasing, unable to set boundaries and say no, and what we just talked about, trying to be better man. But in my opinion, that's not the way to go.
Talking about jealousy, I think one of the Bill Burr Netflix TV shows explained it perfectly for me. He gave it, I think, 21 or 22 in Denver, Red Rock, talking about female soccer in the US or female football, and why women requiring women to be successful, whereas men don't require women to be successful in football. They have enough male spectators, and that women prefer to watch Kim Kardashian videos in Instagram instead of watching female football. And this explains it all. And that is also why this jealousy thing is there, because you are all comparing yourself with, I would never compare myself with George Clooney or Brad Pitt or Sean Connery and so on. I know I'm the greatest guy on earth already, so I don't need to. No, but and this is, I think, the big thing amongst women, this comparison, and this is really crazy.
And that's so sad, in my opinion, because jealousy that's also my personal opinion, yeah. Jealousy is an emotion like every other emotion. It's okay to be jealous, but there is a constructive and a destructive way to handle it. And talking about other women behind their back is destructive. So the way to go is to ask yourself, what is it that person, that woman has, I would like to have in my life, and then use the masculine energy and to bring that into your life, right? And the interesting thing is, when you ask yourself, do I really want to change my life, my whole life with that person? The answer most of the time would be no, because it's only that one little thing. That's
and then of course also the power dynamics. You're the only woman in the board or in this management circle, and you get, of course, full attention from all the men. Are you happy a second woman joining, where you suddenly have to share this attention, or are you happy that you have potentially a second supporter, or exactly not, because oh, now you have a saboteur in this meeting, and so very interesting on power dynamics and female jealousy.
Yeah, totally. All right, let's move on to the next practical tips for business to embrace both feminine and masculine energy. Embracing the masculine energy, what can you do? Masculine energy is about setting goals, establishing priorities, financial planning, budgeting. That's all things you can use your masculine energy for. Developing strategies, creating concept plans, all that. We talked about that going forward energy, doing things, going into action, making decisions, completing tasks. And the interesting thing is that we can also use it during our week or during our work day, and say, okay, maybe I'm more productive in the morning, so I use my masculine energy traits or my masculine energy in the morning, and in the afternoon, for example, I go more into my feminine energy and be, for example, creative. Delegating, also a masculine trait. Organizing in general. Time management, meeting deadlines. That's super important, not only for people in leadership positions, but also if someone is self-employed, for example. You cannot have your own business without masculine energy. That's not possible. Pursuing performance-driven projects, conducting meetings, sales conversations. We talked about that. I think that's a flow between both energies. Measuring, analyzing results. That's actually interesting. We talked about the different colors. I think the blue is, let me think about it. I think red and blue is more masculine, and green and yellow is more feminine. I haven't thought about that before.
Yeah. I would say yes, because green is avoiding conflict and yellow is creative, and blue is very controlled and distant, and red is very much dominant and decision making. So that's why you're completely right.
Yeah, super interesting.
And by the way, I think it's also important to understand the masculine daily cycle. So you should never, ever, as a woman, make an pay hike conversation in the morning, forenoon. You should always do it with the male counterpart in the afternoon, because testosterone level is down, and then they're more agreeing on something new, whereas in the morning, forenoon, they will always fight it back.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. All right, and then embracing the feminine in business is it's all about, how to summarize it, being creative and being in connection with others. I would summarize it like that. So having time to develop creative ideas, doing brainstorming, yes, building networks, managing relationships in all regards.
But this is a big contradiction, because women are very bad in business networking. So on one hand, they are relationship builder, but they are very, very bad in business networking. So it's crazy, huh?
Business network in regards of what do you mean?
Yeah, first of all, take this a group alone. Are everybody connected with each other? Of course, in terms of jealousy, maybe not, because I don't want to have a relationship with my competition, maybe. Yeah? On the other hand, we also had already the discussion, you are on a business event, it's 6 o'clock in the evening. One of the other event attendees is asking you, Christina, are we going for dinner? You will not say right away yes. But if a man is asking another one, okay, let's have some drinks. It's no head cinema and what else could. But this is the one reason why you are maybe a little bit shy on business networking, because there's always the side agenda, which is maybe hindering to build relationship on business level, which are just business relationship.
Yeah. I would
it's
say
not everybody is working in this company where you share one hotel room, even you booked for 2 people.
I would say the main reason, I'm not sure, but I would say the main reason for that is that many women out there are in self-doubt. Yeah. It's
imposter syndrome. A daily imposter syndrome, and but that's, I think, the main trigger for more success, because if you are not going for the drinks, and again the men go for the drinks, and then there's a new open position, like Sam, we had some drinks together, and
I agree. I totally agree. Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's important to again be conscious about that and to figure out for yourself, especially as a woman, in which energy am I? Am I in the healed feminine energy, or am I in the wounded or toxic, imbalanced feminine energy? And for example, self doubts holding me back for living my full potential? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, and the other points, it's the same. It's relationships in all regards. It's if it's customer feedback, if it's the dynamics within a team, it's creating inspiring content, also things like defining, maintaining values is also something you can use your feminine energy for. Everything that's about collaboration, relationships, communication, and creativity, I would say. Yeah. All right, and last but not least, how to use that in business. I would say if it's the first time you've heard about that topic, get used to the energies within you first. Get conscious about that, and actively practice the different energies in daily life. And then the second step, I would say, is to figure out how to use that concept within your team. So who leans more into the feminine energy in your team? Who leans more into the masculine energy in your team? How can the team members contribute their energies? That's super important, because if you are aware not only about your own energies and which energy is dominant, but also of your team members, you can use it. And also a thing is to if you have a team, if you are in a leadership position, I think it makes sense to make time for the team members to embrace their energies. For example, to have time to be creative, have time to set goals, to be super productive, things like that. Yeah.
So have you used today more feminine or more masculine energy during your
Today,
talk?
during my
Yes.
talk, in preparing, I would say definitely more masculine energy. It's going forward. And during our talk, I would say both, but the communicating between us is more feminine energy.
And why not more masculine energy?
I would say communicating in an empathetic way is generally more feminine. So let's say if our talk would have been more in a masculine energy, there would have been less conversation between us. It would have been more like, okay, now we go to the next point, and you know.
So my communication was also more feminine than masculine?
I would say, yeah.
Okay, yeah, good.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it so far.
Meanwhile, Sadia joined, who is an expert in saboteurs. She was listening all the time, not switching on her camera on. Sadia, do you have a question? Maybe you can stop screen sharing when we see each other larger.
Hi there. Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Right, yeah, so sorry, I missed the beginning of your lovely talk, but yeah, it was super interesting, definitely. Thank you for all that you said. Really interesting around um, masculine energy and the feminine energy. I It was interesting the comment around women and networking as well. That sort of piqued a thought in my mind around how actually there's probably a whole host and list of reasons why um, women say no to going for the extra drinks, for example. Um, there's always an individual um, justification behind that, but what I would say to that is there's not just one way of doing anything, is there? So there's not just one way of networking. Um, there's not just one way of an egg. Is there? There's not just one way of anything. So actually, effective networking can take place in lots of different formats. Um, so just because it's not the late night drink, it doesn't mean that it's ineffective or invalid in some ways. It's just that perhaps um, women like to do things in different ways, and perhaps maybe not just women, maybe people like to do things in different ways, right? So, an example from like a personal example that I can give you is I attended an event the other day and I had to leave early because I had childcare commitments. So I had to go and pick up my daughter, who would otherwise be waiting in the cold and the rain, and that's not what I wanted for her. So I had to leave early. So in some ways, externally, it could be perceived as, oh, she's not going to go and go for the after drinks. But actually, there are kind of responsibilities and priorities that we all hold in our hearts, don't we? And we sort of run and rule our lives by those responsibilities that we have at different stages. So, and that's just one teeny weeny example. There's probably a million examples out there of the reasons that people like to interact in different ways or have to interact in different ways because of their responsibilities as well. So that's the thought that came up for me there. So I guess it's what is the point of networking? What is the point of creating a relationship and connecting with somebody, whether that be business or whether that just be finding out more about them so that you can exchange ideas. And the point of that is really just spend some quality time together, whether that be later on in the evening or maybe on a Teams call the next day or in the morning for a morning run even. People network that way these days. They go out and do exercise together, or traditionally it was around the golf course, wasn't it? But people get on tennis courts and all sorts as well. So I guess it's important to recognize that there's never a one size fits all story, even though humans we like to have the cleanliness of a one size fits all story, don't we? Because it's nice and neat. It's like, oh, this is how we do things. But actually, there's lots of ways of doing things just as effectively according to different people's priorities. And then I would even stretch that beyond females. Males have responsibilities for the school run these days. They go and pick up their children and need to do that as well. So it's according to how we prioritize the things in our lives as to then how we run the rest of our lives to be able to fit around that. But yeah, those were the thoughts that came up for me when I was listening to the discussion. It was really great to hear your version Christina, sorry, I hope Christina. Yeah, thank you for all of your thoughts on that. It's really super interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And that's we talked about that in the beginning. It's what you're referring to, I think, is often women are taught to be better men or to handle things like men handle them, but we need to find our individual way. Yeah.
So when you work with clients, you potentially do also group exercises. Are you then also observing how the different communication styles are somehow an interaction? If a man talks to another man, if a male talks to a female counterpart, and have you identified some patterns in this energy levels, or is it more personality type? So you are this kind of personality, and you don't care who is the counterpart, you just communicate in the one or the other energy.
I think it's a mix between everything. In the end, it's about personality types, it's about masculine, feminine energy, but it's super complex. There are patterns, yeah, but it depends on, in the end, it depends on the individual. Yeah. Yeah.
I see also Sharina, meanwhile, joined the scene. But Sharina,
Yeah,
you're only 3 minutes in the session. You
I
potentially have not
know.
a question. Yeah, but
I know,
it's okay.
like I joined very, very late, but even the last 2 minutes, I find it interesting. I wish I had joined earlier. I'm sorry, I'm joining late, but hopefully I'll catch the video once you record, once you put the recording, Daniel. Yeah, so if there's anything, Christine, I think I'll get back to you on LinkedIn. But I wish I was there from the beginning.
But one question to you, Sharina, do you have different communication styles to male and female counterparts, or you communicate in the same way? So you're talking to me same way like you would talk to Christina in a one-on-one?
I would like to think it would be kind of the same, but over time, I also see that sometimes, this is me, okay? I'm just saying it. I can see sometimes that females are more sensitive. So, it's I find it sometimes easier not to sugarcoat with the man. What when it comes to ladies, I just need to be a bit more careful with my words. Maybe because more ladies are more conscious about how language is used. So I need to be conscious of what I am saying without blurting something out and then thinking after. So I just need to be a bit more mindful, I think, of what I myself say. And it could be my problem rather than, the other party's problem. I would think, yeah. Yeah, but I think something there is that it is said that men are taught to be brave and women are taught to be perfect. So that kind of comes across in various ways. And then many times men just say things and then they don't really care about what the other person also says. Sometimes there is more flexibility and sometimes different with different cultures. I think it's person to person as well. There are people whom we can be open with of each either gender, and sometimes you would be very careful with people of either gender as well, based on how open they are. I don't know whether I answered, but I think you just have to go with the feeling of at that moment what feels right to you, that person or the group.
And Christina, you worked in a company, a technology company, where I would say the majority of colleagues were male.
Yeah.
Is it then being a female employee, is it a power position or is it a weak position?
Both at the same time, I would say. Seriously, both at the same time. So at the company I was working, I was really lucky because my colleagues were really kind. And at the same time in the industry, so it was the cruise industry I was working in, and I was not only a marketing manager. I also had like a side job. I was account manager for one big American client, and at the beginning, it was super hard for me because on the trade shows, on the big trade shows, everyone was talking to my boss and to my colleagues, but not to me, just because I was a woman. And they thought, she's young, she's a woman, probably she has no idea about IT. And it took me over a year until they took me serious, I would say. So it was both at the same time, yeah.
But of course, it was making something with you. So you had to be very resilient, not to be somehow treated in a negative manner that it is somehow breaking your career. So you took it more as an ambition to maybe shortening this period of finally being recognized.
Yeah.
I have a different experience because I am Daniel. I know you know that I worked with IBS in the past, and I started my career with them. This is in the state of Kerala, back in India. So this is where a high literacy rate, high rate of kids going to school, and everything is there. And people of both genders are actively encouraged to pursue STEM subjects. Though there are differences that sometimes the women don't take up enough of the mechanical engineering, which is more the highly technical machine part of things. But other engineering subjects and maths and everything, kids are not discouraged. Girls are not discouraged. So then we find ourselves in first jobs, like in kind of equal numbers as well. So we're not really questioned that way. But then it can still happen that the like later on, or once you start to work on it, depends on your capability. Like I found myself that I don't rate myself high on my coding skills, though I did code and I do like it, but I like more the business side of things, and that's how I kind of transitioned away from it. So it depends on maybe me personally, how what I felt as well, that then once you're a little bit weak, or you're perceived as weak, then yeah, then you don't have much of a choice, in the sense that you could be excluded. That can happen. But I don't know whether that would happen to either genders or not. I have not thought enough about it, but yeah. A friend of mine from Germany was saying that she had to really fight to study STEM or tech subjects, and then I have to say that I have a positive story to say that it doesn't happen to that either, girls. But
Lucky you.
So yeah, I've got 100 in so there were two math subjects, and I got 15 both, meaning 50 out of 50, and I got 100 in my 10th grade. So I have that background, and I never thought about it. And then, but when we come and mingle with the people from different cultures, and then, for example, in the UK, I think Sadia's in the UK, like more women are expected to do the home school run, and then bake cakes for the kids sales in school. I'm like, why? It should be like running the home should be of like a job from both genders. Yeah.
So thank you, Christina, for a very insightful talk about the different energies we have in the same room. And yeah, so I liked it very much. Hopefully my single child questions were not too tough for you. And we have
Pleasure.
we have more Ladies Beyond Flying Aviation Women panel. So we will have a pilot and a speaker and coach in December. It's Dr. Tanja Becker. I came across her in a Spiegel article where it was about sleep and bad sleep. And so that's why I contacted her. And she is also giving a leadership coaching. And yeah, will be an interesting session on the 17th of December. And if you know someone from the industry being smart, positive, enthusiastic, and upbeat, kindly share the word and let her or him know to join the Ladies and Gents Beyond Flying. By the way, I have I created an evolution. More and more gents should also join this community because we are all inclusive and yeah. So hopefully this group will reach a new evolution soon. And until we see each other soon again, please stay healthy and safe. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.